You're watching Notepad. My name is Ibrahim Sani. We're recording this from the comforts of my home because we're doing a hybrid way of work. Now, later on in the show, we're going to have Pradeep Rathinam, the Chief Customer Officer of Freshworks. And of course, we're going to talk about the kind of things and ideas that Freshworks is currently doing, the kind of partnerships that they have with Zalora or any other stakeholder, but that comes later. What we need to think about right now is some of the business news of the week. One area of concern is, of course, the economic data that is coming out very soon. Two data. One is, of course, the economic data on unemployment. Another one is, of course, inflation, and of course, the third one is interest rate. It doesn't seem to be promising because all this might show that the economy, Malaysian economy, is going out of whack. So that's something that is, we have to expect that. Political turmoil is also, political risk is also rising. There is an area of concern where businesses might want to think about postponing some of the key decision makers and key decisions to be taken. And of course, super dynamic. That's another topic of the day where we now know that there's a lot of false reports that was given to the Securities Commission, and it appears that Super Dynamic Chief Executive Officer Datuk Karim and 3 other top executives who have been charged with providing false report to SC might be left off with just a compound, a fine, instead of being tried in court. And they might be off from a possible jail time for the offences that they are being charged with. So does this add more or greater value towards corporate governance in Malaysia, transparency, and how does this provide some equitable, comparisons with other companies that violate those kind of problems, right? Or disclosure towards the regulators. So this is an area that we need to think about, not just about cyber dynamic per se, but the kind of corporate governance improvement that we can see in the country. Anyway, there's so many things that we can talk about, but for now, those are the kind of areas that we can touch on for the local business scene. Stay tuned. As promised, we're going to have Freshworks coming up after this. Thanks for staying on. Okay, as promised, we have Pradeep Rathinam, Chief Customer Officer, dialing in all the way from Seattle. Pradeep, thanks again for spending the time with us. There's a lot of things that we can talk about Freshworks. This is, of course, not the first time Freshworks have been on the show, but as you can see, the pandemic still rages on, and there's a lot of things that we can see the differences in, i.e., people being fully vaccinated and life goes on, but at the same time, sometimes we have to do this, we have to do things from the house. Sometimes we have to do hybrid. It's all that whole notion of doing things in the new normal. Now, 2.5 years on, we still are talking about this. But things have been different, not just for the business world, but of course how we lead our lives per se. Can you just touch a little bit about Freshworks, what you guys do, and how things different or the same, both in Seattle as well as around the world?
Yeah. So I think if you really look at the pandemic, our products are designed, across a variety of use cases, right? Our use cases are essentially around, customer service help desk, IT help desk, and then CRM, right? And we essentially focus on 2 markets. One is on digital transformation on the customer experience side, and then employee experience transformation on the employee side. And through the pandemic, it was a time where we realized that there's a huge demand for businesses to move into contactless service. So if you understand what I mean by contactless service, it's really, you go to a restaurant today, pretty much, you're ordering from a QR code, right? In sophisticated restaurants, you order from a QR code, you pay your bill on QR code, the food comes to you. You even put, the takeout of what you call as, the curbside pickup and delivery. All of those businesses really took off because of the notion of this contactless service. Right? The next thing that was really interesting was the whole emergence of digital channels, right? People were using traditional channels like phone, but the and a lot of email. But then when you think about what's happened is, opening of channels like WhatsApp and SMS, and so the notion of instantaneous service on one end, on the other end, service coming to you, right? Which means, as you, if you have an issue with the order, where's my order? The responsiveness keeps coming back to you at a pace at which you are most comfortable dealing with it, right? So there was at least some of those elements we were seeing. um, the third one I would say is really, digital and human touch, which is, the first point of touch in every business became a digital touch. It's because the volumes went up, and you had to deal with it. You can't really scale humans at the same level, and people were comfortable dealing with bots on the front end of every experience. But then, how do you create empathy? How do you create connection? And so, how do you create all of those in bots so that, if bots can solve your problem, you feel like you're talking to a human. All the same, if they can't solve your problem, you can seamlessly hand off to a human that can kind of solve your problem. So we saw all of these things emerge really through the pandemic. And for us, it was a time where our products had to evolve, and I think we were very well set up to really be able to serve the market and our customers, to help them with their customer experience transformation, like we did for Zalora.
So when we talk about some of the pain points of the customer, it's a bit different, right? The pain points of today versus before. Customers that were, having some issues in 2020 might not be having the same issues in 2022. Talk to us through some of the pain points of the customers from 2020 to 2022 and what to expect in the future.
Yeah. So I think if you really look at what happened in that sense, is the lines for most businesses, where between sales and service are blurred, and that is sort of a permanent, aspect of what happened through the pandemic, which is when you call a business, when you speak to a business, you're interacting with, with a digital assistant, a virtual assistant, and that could be, you would be asking a sales question, or it could be a customer service question, or it could be a marketing related question. And so today, the perception of a brand really comes down to how you really offer that digital experience to your customers, right? And so there's a huge shift that happened. And so with that, products like ours, which were designed for the user, right, and economically viable, where ease of use became a core notion, because you don't want to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in implementing systems like these. You want to just be able to, you want a SaaS product out of the box, just go set it up for yourself and run your business on that. And so that's some of the things that we saw, and that clearly pointed out to us that, hey, ease of use of setting up, configuring, enabling your business to essentially run, and then being able to build a system that enables customer experience transformation, where the ability for you to experience a business comes through how you perceive that brand.
Yeah, I just want to bring to your attention about the partnerships between Zalora and Freshworks. We want to still see the kind of deepening of relationships between you have with your partners. Zalora is, of course, a very famous brand in Kuala Lumpur. A lot of users, a lot of customers here. Of course, the popularity perhaps has waned a bit because of stiffer competition in the market, but it still doesn't take away the fact that people want to learn more about the brands that you work with and the kind of B2C relationships that you're building. Talk through us through some of the partnerships, for instance, Zalora has with Zalora or many other partners that you have.
Sure. So when we think about what happened through the pandemic, essentially it increased the number of online shoppers, especially for Zalora and for several other companies. And so Zalora resorted to essentially being very creative in their strategy to expand their product portfolio, essentially from apparel to work from essentials and electronics and what have you. And so we as a company helped them with their digital shopping and support experiences, right? And in that we offered AI as the first line of offense and defense, right, for how they work with digital channels. and with a seamless transition to agents when a service issue or a sales issue was more complex, if you will, right? So just the implementation of what we did in accelerating the digital transformation really helped them significantly reduce their abandoned carts, right? And so that's a huge deal in a shopping business. And we so much so that we saw that 75% of the customers have become repeat customers, right? And so um, with all of this, I do believe that our partnership with Zalora and with similar companies has really helped increase the level of trust that they are building with their consumers and customers. And so it's very ideal for online businesses as well as retail businesses that are growing to look for partnerships like ours. And we seek out such partnerships because it's we can really help them transform their customer experience and grow their business.
We'll go for a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more with Freshworks. Thanks for staying on with us. This is Notepad. I have with me on the line Pradeep Rathinam, the Chief Customer Officer of Freshworks, dialing in all the way from Seattle. Pradeep, let's talk about some of the challenges and some of the opportunities that you want to explore for next year, this year and next year. I'm sure it's going to be a very exciting period for you. Tell me more about Freshworks' plans.
So Freshworks is in the cusp, like I said, of offering products that power businesses across two dimensions. On customer experience transformation and on employee experience transformation, right? And so what we've done is we're basically focusing on building a solution suite on the customer experience side, which enables a 360-degree view of your customer. And so anybody in your business, whether it's sales, marketing, support, can see a view of the customer across all transactions, all events, and we have a CDP platform which enables you to really understand your customers better, to segment, to cross-sell, upsell them, if you will, right? And so a huge part of our customer experience transformation is such that you don't think of them as silos. So now you can bring sales, marketing, support all in one experience transformation bucket, and we now have a suite that enables those transformations, as well as for online shoppers. Like, for example, we have tight partnerships and integration with companies like with partnerships like Shopify and other third-party marketplaces for e-commerce providers to allow you to see multiple orders from an agent perspective. So we are very, very fortunate that we can serve businesses all the way from small business to Fortune 500 companies. Being a SaaS platform, we have the ability to scale, and we have several of our businesses that have scaled from 5 agents who are using it on the customer service side, or few agents who are using it on the sales side, to thousands of agents as their businesses grow. So we're truly a scalable SaaS platform for businesses on the customer experience side. We have a similar suite of solutions for the employee experience side, and so that's where we are investing a lot of our R&D on the other side, which is helping thinking about employee experience transformation, which is you think about IT service management, IT operations management, all of these products that are there in our roadmap essentially can enable us to be better at the employee experience transformation, if you will, right? And so across both of these dimensions, we do believe that there is a tremendous opportunity for us to grow to mid-sized market, to enterprise companies, to Fortune 500 companies that we can serve. And we are very excited about 2022 in terms of what we can accomplish.
Before we started this show, we were just comparing, contrasting the kind of behaviors, right? When it comes to COVID, I want to draw that kind of pre-interview questions into this one. Different markets, different reactions towards different severity levels, I suppose, of COVID, and I'm sure it translates to consumer behavior as well. I'm sure it translates to market readiness of certain, mandates, anywhere from mask mandates to, at least in Malaysia, we have to check in at every premise. It's like Singapore actually. Every premise we go in, we have to check in with that app. Of course, it's invasive of privacy, but there's nothing much I can do. It's like me versus the Malaysian government, for instance, right? But and then you have the laissez-faire markets of the world. How do you see doing business differently, right? Is that a problem moving forward because of the different ways of people receiving different ways of doing things?
No, not really. I think if you really think about the products and the markets we serve, we enable our customers with multiple channels of communication, right? And so if you have a brand that is working with us, if you have a customer that if you have a brand that's serving its customers, you can choose to serve them across email through a ticketing system, across chat, across messaging channels like SMS and WhatsApp and what have you, or phone, right? And we provide a very seamless fluidity across these channels, right? And so it's very key for us as we think about when we serve our customers, to serve them in the way that they would like to best use and utilize. And what we've seen with this pandemic is this whole digital transformation revolution that's taken place, where there is an acceleration of these digital channels, right? And so the mobile experiences and being able to serve on messaging channels has taken into prominence. And so we do believe that with that, we can essentially offer a way for our consumers, for our businesses to serve their consumers in the form that they feel best is served to them. But there is nothing from a regulatory perspective for us that inhibits us to serve different countries or different businesses in different countries based on specifics of COVID regulations. Of course, there's larger implications around privacy as it relates to GDPR or data center regulations about where data resides. And we are a SaaS company, and we have a globally distributed policy as it relates to, and we serve each country based on their specific needs to serve those customers in those markets.
And of course, my final question to you is this. There would be a stiffer competition coming in from the market, and what you're offering, while interesting, is also replicatable by your competitors. How do you intend to stay forward and stay ahead when it comes to trying to deliver the best from the market and try to stay ahead of your competition?
So we are a product-led growth company, and so we're uniquely positioned in the sense that we have a well-diversified portfolio of products, all the way from customer experience transformation with customer service that is offered through various channels. We have a marketing automation solution, we have a CRM and a Salesforce automation solution. We have an ITSM or IT service management solution, and we also have a employee experience solution. So when you think about that, we have a well-diversified portfolio of products. The core tenets of our philosophy haven't changed, which is really like, we're designed for the end user, make it easy for end users to use and consume our software in a way that they can, readily deploy without having to go through intensive training courses or having to invest with consultants. We are economically viable in the sense that we are very competitive as it relates to how we are pricing our product and making sure that consumers can really experience the benefits of what we offer. And I think when I think about these dimensions, there's always competition. We're already in competitive. We entered markets that were already existing for hundreds, for several decades. And so for us to make an entry into this, for us, we are seeing growth, and we are very positively enthused about the opportunities that lie ahead of us as we scale from a small business to mid-market to Fortune 500 companies.
Thanks very much. It's been nice talking to you, not just you per se, but of course somebody that can give a global view, I suppose, of how the market works. I really like the retail business. I also like the B2B business. To see how it meshes up, it's quite interesting. But for now, that was our conversation with Pradeep Rathinam, the Chief Customer Officer of Freshworks. If you've missed any part of this interview, just head on to AstroAwani.com, look for Notepad over there. Unfortunately, we have to draw this conversation to a close. Catch you in the next one.